This is part C of the KhoodeelaarTVChannel television channel, broadcasting on the internet under the banner of Baby Angel Geronimo Editions. This is part C, timed at 11:10 GMT on Monday, the 1st of January 2024. In this edition, we shall be continuing on the theme of the propaganda for the proven liar, Giles Fraser, in the Sunday Times yesterday, 31st of December 2023, and also taking a general look at the contents of the Free Street papers today, 1st of January, so-called New Year, 2024. There is a cover on the Globe, a tabloid in the USA, dated the 8th of January 2024, and it is headed Hollywood's 50 Biggest Liars Exposed. And the pictures are, of course, the biggest picture on the left is Johnny Depp, and the second biggest is Meghan Markle, followed by similar sizes Gwyneth Paltrow and Will Smith. This is absolutely disgraceful. There is a smiling face of the US woman who has been arrested for murdering her children. The smiling face is completely deceptive. Why do they do that? Now, the things that Eric Pickles said about the Price Waterhouse Cooper report. Let's see here the Price Waterhouse Cooper. The PwC report published on November the 4th severely criticized how grants were handed out to organizations which failed to meet basic criteria for public funding. Property was sold without proper process, and taxpayers' money was spent on political advertising for the mayor. So this is the piece on the government website. Secretary of State sends in commissioners to Tower Hamlets. Commissioners will take control of grant making within the council and will approve any sale or disposal of property. The local government secretary today, that is 17th of December 2014, sent commissioners into the London Borough of Tower Hamlets. Eric Pickles told Parliament last month, that is November 2014, that he was minded to intervene in the borough after an independent report uncovered a worrying pattern of divisive community politics and alleged mismanagement of public money by the mayoral administration of Tower Hamlets. Now that is stupid. The word divisive is absolutely fucking stupid. The word that should be there is corrupt. Corrupt. Corrupt, you fucking lying crooks. Why can't you use corrupt? Tower Hamlets Council is one of the most corrupt local councils in all of England. It has been so since the beginning, from 1965 onwards. Following consideration of the borough's response to the report, the Secretary of State rejected the mayor's representations that problems were easily put right. Now, if Luthorama said that, then of course Luthorama was lying typically. Whoever wrote that was lying in advising him. Two commissioners went into Tower Hamlets Town Hall today, that is 17th of December 2014, to meet senior officials and councillors, including Mayor Luthorama. The commissioners will be led by Ken Knight, former London Fire Brigade Fire Commissioner and Chief Fire and Rescue Advisor to the government. Ken Knight will be supported by former Council Chief Executive Max Collar, the current chairman of the Local Government Boundary Commission for England. Now, Max Collar and Ken Knight are two of the most corrupt individuals to be found corrupting the local councils further. The team will, with immediate effect, take control of grant making within the council, will approve any sale or disposal of property. Now that is stupid, because the corruption the corruption of Tower Hamlets Council resources was not confined to the sale of property at all. The corruption, incompetence, illegality, immorality prevails all over all the aspects of the council's so-called services. And throughout my investigation into the behavior of the two crooks, Ken Knight and Max Collar, during 2014, up to the end of their kind of presence, I found them corrupt and lying and dishonest. Ken Knight lies, Max Collar lied, and the council employees who were among the pre-existing establishment of personnel who were acting as their support staff were lying as well. Because Ken Knight promised to send me answers to questions that I put to him, as did Max Collar, and that neither of them did. The actual corruption is widespread, has been widespread, was widespread, and when Luthroman was in place in 2014, the calendar year before, he was ousted by Richard Morey on the 23rd of April 2015. The corruption included the allocation of housing. As the prosecution of now MP Afsana Begum proceedings were fucked up, the arrest of Afsana Begum was directly connected with the corruption of housing, council housing. Council housing or council-linked housing in partnership with so-called social landlords. The only way that Afsana Begum could be found not guilty would have been if an elaborate scam was confected to excuse her, which is what happened. I don't believe that Afsana Begum was innocent. I believe that Afsana Begum did do wrong. And the reason why she was excused and acquitted, so-called, was to do with the private, unpublicized intervention by Keir Starmer, former DPP, who must have known a whole lot of bureaucrats in the Snaresbrook Crown Court and the entire chain of prosecutors, etc., etc. And the Tower Hamlets Council case against Afsana Begum was fucked up, messed up, confused, contradictory, and not rigorous. Because if they actually told the truth about how council housing corruption took place, for example, going back to the handing over of thousands of council stock to the crooks of Haque and the crooks of Tower Hamlets community housing, then it would be quite clear that an industrial scale of mountain of corruption on housing had been being done, perpetrated in Tower Hamlets Council, regardless of who was leader or who was mayor. And Luthroman was as much part of the corrupt brigade as John Biggs was. The other thing is the actual youth service. Youth service corruption was hushed up, despite the fact that John Biggs shut down a number of youth organizations or youth groups. The corruption in the youth service was never actually dealt with. The social services corruption and criminality has never been dealt with. And that includes the negligence, negligence to actually address and carry out the safeguarding children duties as highlighted by us in relation to Shamima Begum and our two friends, Amira Abbasi and what's the other one? I'll come back to the name of the other one. In The Guardian, on the PwC report, it actually ran a very rare piece with the heading Tower Hamlets Council Guilty of Systemic Failings Report Reveals. But it's actually a falsehood because it's not Tower Hamlets Council guilty, it was Lutfur Rahman who was guilty. Look at the corruption of the Guardian itself. Now, the caption says the Lutfur Rahman was said to have had links to a successful bidder for a council contract. Now, this is completely understating what happened, because the contract was actually about one of the buildings, Tower Hamlets. Was it Poplar Town Hall, for old town hall? Reporters found systemic failings in the conduct and governance of Tower Hamlets Council. That is not true. What the report said was that Lutfur Rahman personally intervened and overruled procedural advice given by some council employees. The Guardian actually quotes a few sentences from the PwC report, PricewaterhouseCoopers. The report says the Tower Hamlets Council's response to the identification of issues raised in the report suggests a tendency towards denial or obfuscation rather than an inclination to investigate concerns raised. That is absolutely true. And this is the tip of the iceberg, this statement of the actual corruption, the depth of corruption that exists, dominates, and rules Tower Hamlets Council. Despite its public assertions of support for the inspection at various stages, the Council raised a number of obstacles to our progress, which have significantly delayed the provision of information or documentation, and which in large part led to our request for an extension of the timetable for the inspection. Tower Hamlets Council tended to pronounce allegations to be baseless and are politically motivated without having conducted what we would consider to be an adequate investigation into the issues raised. Tower Hamlets Council sought a judicial review to block the investigation process, and PwC claims that some files have been withheld. It states In relation to the matter of grant making, we conclude that the Council is failing to comply with its best value duty. It finds a lack of transparency generally over the rationale for these decisions as to grant awards. Where application processes exist, the evaluation of these applications has been to a significant extent overridden without any clear rationale. Now, overridden by who? That's the whole thing. Overridden by Lutfur. Grants have been awarded to organizations which were ruled ineligible or which did not meet the required evaluation score. It cites one process whereby one member in particular intervened to make significant changes to the officer recommendations. Who was that member? Was it Ali Burj Chowdhury? It could very well be. It doesn't name. As a result, applicants who had not met the minimum criteria for an award after evaluation were recommended to receive in total awards of 400 and 7,700 pounds. The Price Waterhouse report states, in interview, Lutfur Rahman told us that he had not been involved in the details of awards, although he had kept abreast of things generally through occasional high-level discussions with one member in the report found that in 3 of the 4 transactions examined in depot, managed street authority Founders Council failed to comply with its best value. It said the authority accepted So we shall be continuing on this in later editions. This is ending at 11:28 hours GMT on Monday, the 1st of January 2023, and this is 24 minutes long, this video.